Welcome to the lounge, everybody. Appreciate you stopping in. I am smoking my latest acquisition. My intro video, I showed off an olive wood pipe that I had purchased from Papa Bear Pipes. You can find him over on Instagram and well, here on YouTube as well. But I bought this nice little sandblasted brandy. I think is what he referred to it as a brandy shape. Beautiful, beautiful pipe. And he's stem work. This is the second one of his pipes I've purchased, and his stem work and the button is just, it's almost like they're made for me. And they're just so comfortable. I'm typically not much of a clincher, but his pipes, it's definitely ones that I will. Smoking some Two Friends Heritage in it this evening. And this is actually, I think, my third bowl I've put through this pipe since I got it. Definitely a dandy. I really like it. If you haven't, and you're into artisan pipes, Tim there at Papa Bear Pipes is definitely a guy to check out. He makes some absolutely beautiful pipes. What I thought about doing, I was watching Mike over at Old Man Things. He did a video this past week on his whiskey cellar and went over his collection of Glencairn glassware, which was very interesting, and I enjoyed watching it. And it got me thinking about things I like to drink. And one of the things that I like to have mixed up and keep around for when I have company is what is called a freezer door old fashioned. And I really enjoy a good old fashioned, and it's probably my favorite cocktail. But I thought I would show you how I make a freezer door old fashioned, and then we'll pour us one and have a taste. So why don't you check out how I make a freezer door old fashioned. Okay, so I told you I would show you how I make one of my favorite cocktails, and that happens to be an old fashioned, and I prefer an old fashioned made with a bourbon. And if you've got company coming over and you don't want to make old fashions for your buddies, one glass at a time, a simple way to do it is what's called a freezer door old fashioned. So the first thing you'll need is a 750 milliliter of your favorite bourbon, rye, whatever you choose to use. I use this Benchmark single barrel. This is an inexpensive bourbon, and the flavor to me is good when it's in the old fashioned. And since I'm making a cocktail, I want something that's fairly inexpensive, and I like something in like a 95 to a 110 proof to make a cocktail, because I'm going to wind up cutting it down with stuff. So to me, this Benchmark single barrel is about ideal for my taste. So I have a full 750. I have a partial bottle here. We're going to need that. I have some bitters, some simple syrup, a measuring cup, and I have a funnel, and then I have a cocktail measuring cup. So 1 ounce, 2 ounce. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open up the new 750, and then we need our partial. I got a pie plate here because I'm doing this at the dining room table, so I'm trying not to make too big of a mess. So we'll need that, and we're going to put the funnel in there, and then with my measuring cup, out of this brand new 750 milliliter, I'm going to pour out 10 ounces of it. Ten ounces. Then we will pour that into this partial bottle. Now, the best part is, if you look at this, since I saved that partial bottle, I can actually make 2 of these this time. So, as a matter of fact, we'll use the older one to make this one, since we already have the funnel in there. We're going to take our measuring cup. Now I need 8 ounces of simple syrup. And you can make your own homemade simple syrup. I use the, for this one, I'm using the store-bought just because it's easy and quick. So 8 ounces of simple syrup. And then if you want, this is where it kind of comes to a choice. More often than not, in an old-fashioned, most folks just use an aromatic bitters. And I've got this, what is this? Watkins, excuse me. Watkins bitters. And you could put 2 ounces of just the aromatics in there. I personally like to use an ounce of the aromatic and an ounce of the orange. And this kind of helps supplement, like if you were making a traditional old-fashioned, they'll muddle like a sugar cube, an orange slice, and a cocktail cherry with the bitters. And so I like using this orange bitters so I don't have to put the orange slice in there, but I still get the same flavor. So I'm going to do an ounce of the orange bitters. And I don't have the tops popped out of these bottles, so this is kind of a pain in the butt, and this is why I use the pie plate here. So 1 ounce of orange bitters, and then 1 ounce of aromatic bitters. Put the cap on that before I forget. This is easier to do if you pop the cap out of these, but since these get used for other stuff and not just this, I leave the caps in them. So 1 ounce of aromatic bitters. So we've just replaced our 10 ounces that we took out of the bottle. We just put back, or made again, I should say. So, and then I will set that back in here, and we will pour that into our bottle. Put our cap back on, and I just give it a shake. And now we just put it in the freezer, and I usually leave it sit in the freezer for at least 2 hours before I drink out of it. To me, it's best if you leave it longer than that. I prefer to leave it in overnight, but let's be honest, we're going to sample this in a little bit. So I'll go put this in the freezer, and then I'll bring you back when it's ready to sample. Well, there you go. You got to see me mix it up and how I like to make it. And this is after it's been in the freezer overnight. So you can see its bottle's all frosted up since I brought it out here to the lounge. And I just like to put it in a rocks glass with an ice cube. My wife got me one of them silicone molds to make the large square cubes. And you'll put my pipe down for just a minute. You'll notice when you go to pour this, after it's been in the freezer, it's fairly thick, comparatively speaking. We won't get her too full. This will be enough to make sure I go to sleep good. Just enough to relax. And typically I'll garnish this with some cocktail cherries. I like the taste of the cocktail cherries after they've been soaking in it. So it's kind of like a drink and a dessert all at the same time. So, but the other thing that I do, you could drink it just like this, right out of the bottle. I use a little bit of water. This happens to be distilled water. And I just add a splash to it. And that's just enough water to open the flavor up in the bourbon. So, I don't like using tap water to do that. We're on a well. So, it's got we got a lot of iron in the water. So I always use bottled water for it. You wouldn't necessarily have to use distilled, but cheers. But it is very, very tasty. And it's simple. And doing a bottle like that is just nice because when we have company over, instead of me having to stand and mix a bunch of cocktails up for my buddies that might want one, I can pull that out of the freezer door and pour a little into some rocks glasses, with a little ice, and then garnish them how people like. If they want cherries or no cherries, they want a little water in it, without water in it. Just basically tune it up to however you see fit. So, but I enjoy them. Don't drink a lot of them because, well, I just don't drink a ton, but it's definitely a nice nightcap, especially sitting up here in the barn. I drink a lot of coffee, especially when I'm smoking a pipe, but this is definitely a nice change every once in a while. And the old Benchmark is pretty good in there. I've tried several different bourbons in it, and that's been the one I've liked the flavor of the most. So that's the one I use on a regular basis. But I'm curious, what's your favorite cocktail? Well, I guess I'm gonna light this pipe up with my little tutorial on making a freezer door old fashioned. This video has probably gone on quite long enough, so I'm gonna finish my drink, finish my pipe, and then I am going up to the house and go to bed. Because unfortunately, work tomorrow is going to get here sooner than I want. Thanks for stopping by. See y'all soon.